Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Nidhi Garg from Deshbandhu College. Today we are going to talk on module Human Genome Project Part 2 from the paper Molecular Genetics. The following are the learning outcomes of this module. Through this module, you will be able to know how the human sequencing was done. You will be able to learn about the various ethical, legal, and social issues known as ELSI that have emerged due to Human Genome Project. You will be able to evaluate the importance of the findings of the Human Genome Project. You will also be able to note the current and the potential applications of the human genome sequencing. Introduction. In Module 42, Part 1, the basic concept of genome and genome sequencing project was introduced. The history, timeline, and the goals of the Human Genome Project were discussed in detail. While in this module, some of the other important aspects of Human Genome Projects will be dealt with. This module will deal with topics such as who were the lucky person or persons whose genome was sequenced? Secondly, which DNA sequencing methods were used? Thirdly, were the existing DNA sequencing methods competent to sequence a genome as big as the human genome? Fourth, were there any new methods for genome sequencing developed? Fifth, what were the outcomes of the HGP? And sixth, how will the wealth of data generated by the HGP benefit the mankind? Genome donors. The sequence of the genome published by the HGP is not the sequence of any one person's genome. It represents a combined mosaic of a small number of anonymous donors, all of whom were of European origin. The genome will act as a scaffold for future work as the knowledge gained will apply to all humans as they possess certain common genes and genomic regulatory regions. Thus, till date, there exists a single reference genome. Genome donors. In the IHGSC International Public Sector, the researchers collected blood samples from a large number of male and female donors whose identities have been protected. Alongside, samples of sperms were also collected from some male donors. In comparison to blood samples, it's easy to obtain purified DNA from sperms because of a very high ratio of DNA to protein. Of the collected samples, only a few were used as DNA resources. The genomic DNA from each individual was cloned in DNA libraries. The DNA clones chosen for sequencing were from many different libraries, and the maximum number of these libraries were generated by Dr. Peter J. de Jong's lab. The white blood cell from the blood samples taken from female donors were used as a source of DNA for creating DNA library to include samples originating from women. One of these libraries, with code number RP11, has been the source of most sequence, which say is greater than 70% for the reference genome, which came from an anonymous male donor belonging to Buffalo, New York. Genome donors. In case of the privately funded Celera Genomics, the DNA sequenced was obtained from samples given by people of European, African, American, and Asian ancestry, but their identity was not revealed. The DNA from these genomes were pooled and processed for sequencing. Craig Venter, the lead scientist of Celera Genomics, revealed that his DNA was among the pool of 21 samples used for human genome sequencing, but finally only 5 samples were selected to be used for sequencing. Sequencing of the human genome. The Sanger sequencing or the chain termination method is used for sequencing DNA strands that are 100 to 1000 base pair long. But longer sequences cannot be sequenced directly using this method. The longer sequences are therefore first subdivided into smaller fragments and sequenced separately, followed by their reassembly using appropriate softwares which give their complete sequence. The two main methods used for genome sequencing are Primer walking and shotgun sequencing. Primer walking, it is also called as chromosome walking, where the DNA sequencing advances through the complete DNA strand or chromosome bit by bit. In case of shotgun sequencing, in this method, where DNA is fragmented randomly into several small segments. Each DNA fragment is then sequenced using the Sanger's method. The resulting fragments are known as reads. Many rounds of DNA fragmentation and sequencing are performed, which gives multiple overlapping reads. The overlapping ends of different reads are used for assembling them into a continuous sequence by the computer programs. Shotgun sequencing was the key technology behind whole genome sequencing. There were two separate strategies adopted by the two groups for sequencing the human genome. First, the publicly funded Human Genome Project adopted the technique of hierarchical shotgun sequencing, while the Celera Genomics used the technique of whole genome shotgun sequencing. Hierarchical shotgun sequencing. The publicly funded Human Genome Project used the hierarchical genome shotgun sequencing method. This approach was called hierarchical shotgun as the genomic DNA was first fragmented into larger DNA fragments and then later mapped to chromosomes before being sequenced. This method comprised of several steps mentioned in the following slides. Hierarchical shotgun sequencing. The genomic DNA was fragmented into smaller DNA fragments about 150 MB long. The DNA fragments were ligated into the cloning vector called the bacterial artificial chromosome or BACS. These cloning vectors have been derived by genetic engineering of bacterial chromosomes. Next, the BAC vectors containing the 150 MB DNA fragments were transformed into Bacterium E. coli and are replicated by the bacterial DNA replication machinery. Next, the 150 MB fragments in BACS were isolated and mapped before sequencing to know their order. This is known as the golden tiling path, since there has been a random sharing of the multiple copies of the human genome. The resulting DNA fragments cloned in BACS have different ends. But with enough coverage, it is possible to create a scaffold of BAC contigs which covers the entire genome, and this scaffold is known as a tiling path. The complete sequences of the BAC contigs are unknown, but one can infer their orientations relative to one another. Several methods are used for inferring this order and choosing only those BACs that comprise the tiling path. A common approach is to identify the position of the clones relative to one another, followed by selection of the least number of clones that can form a contiguous scaffold covering the total area of interest. The order of the clones can be inferred by identifying the overlapping clones. The two commonly used approaches for identifying the overlapping clones are: the first technique is the use of labeled probes with STS. Usually, small probes that are either radioactively or chemically labeled and contain a sequence tag site are used. These probes are hybridized onto a DNA chip or microarray with clones printed onto it, which leads to the identification of every clone containing a specific sequence in the genome. Once the desired clone have been identified, then the ends of cloned sequences are sequenced, which can be further used as a probe. The second approach for identifying overlapping clone is the use of restriction digestion. The restriction digestion of the BAC library is done. Two clones that contain many fragment sizes in common should overlap as they contain several similarly spaced restriction sites in common. This technique is known as restriction fingerprinting as it can identify a set of restriction sites present in every clone. Now, once a tiling path was found, each of the 150 MB BAC that formed this path was fragmented randomly into shorter DNA fragments. Then each of these DNA fragments were cloned into a plasmid which was sequenced separately using a shotgun project on a smaller scale and then assembled. The smaller DNA fragments were sequenced on both strands by means of the Sanger sequencing method, which yielded two short sequences per fragment known as an end read or simply read. Two reads that are generated from the same clone are called mate pairs. One of the limitations of the Sanger sequencing method is that it generates reads that are 500 to 1000 bases long. Thus, the smallest mate pair will rarely overlap. Now, to construct the original sequence, the reads were aligned through their overlapping sequences by means of sequence assembly software. First, the overlapping reads are aligned into longer composite sequences called contigs. By following connections between the mate pairs, the contigs are assembled into scaffolds. At times, it is tough to align the contigs to form the scaffolds due to gaps. Different techniques are used for gap filling depending upon the size of the gap between contigs. For example, if the gap is small, say 5 to 20 kb, then PCR is used for amplifying the target region, followed by is sequencing. But if the gap is larger than 20 kb, then large fragments are cloned in vectors like BAC or YAC and sequenced. Next, the contiguous pieces were subsequently assembled into complete sequence as every DNA strand was sequenced 4 times to produce 8x coverage to generate high-quality data. The following diagram shows you the different steps involved in hierarchical shotgun sequencing, beginning from sharing of genomic data to sequence assembly. Whole genome shotgun sequencing. The privately funded Celera Genomics developed and preferred a method called whole genome shotgun sequencing. This approach was first developed and then perfected for sequencing the genomes of prokaryotic organisms, as they have smaller genome and almost lack repetitive DNA. The steps used for sequencing the human genome are mentioned in the following slides. Whole genome shotgun sequencing. In shotgun sequencing, the DNA is randomly sheared into small pieces. Then these small sized fragments were cloned into plasmids, which were then transformed into bacterium E. coli, whose cellular machinery can make many copies of the plasmid. Both DNA strands were sequenced, thereby excluding the back step. Finally, the resulting sequences were aligned first to form reads, which subsequently formed larger fragments called as contigs, which were further assembled into the finished sequence. The following diagram depicts the process of whole genome shotgun sequencing from the step of DNA isolation to their shearing, cloning, as well as the sequence generation. Now the question arises, which technique is better? Both the groups claim their method to be superior to each other, but each method has its own set of advantages and disadvantages. The utility of a method also depends upon the size and complexity of the genome to be sequenced. One important point to be remembered is that Celera Genomics had access to the HGP data, but on the contrary, the HGP did not have access to the Celera data as it was not freely available. Advantages of hierarchical shotgun method. There is decrease in mistakes in assembling the shotgun fragments into contigs to reconstruct the complete chromosome because the chromosomal location for each back is known. This method is also less heavily dependent on computer algorithms. Disadvantages of hierarchical shotgun method. This method is slow, time-consuming, labor-intensive and expensive. The hierarchical shotgun sequencing involves creation of a low-resolution genomic map and an extensive back library along with tiling path selection, which makes it slower and labor-intensive in comparison to whole genome shotgun sequencing. Advantages of whole genome shotgun sequencing. It is faster and less expensive, due to which the Celera Genomics was able to complete the sequencing well before time. Disadvantages of whole genome shotgun sequencing. It is more error-prone owing to inappropriate assembly of finished sequence. Let us take an example to understand this. Let us say a 500 kb fragment of a chromosome which has undergone duplication. Now, each of the duplicated 500 kb fragment is cut into 2 kb fragments. At the time of sequence assembly, it would be very difficult to determine the precise position of a particular 2 kb fragment in the finished sequence, as it is present twice. Now, even though there are duplications, but we don't know how long ago these segments underwent duplication and have diverged by accumulating random mutations. Thus, there is quite a possibility that only a portion of the segment may be retained while the other parts have accumulated variations due to mutations. This may result in wrong assembly of the DNA fragments. Findings of the Human Genome Project. The aim of the HGP was to attain an extremely precise sequence of the euchromatin region of the human genome, which involved the following two-point approach. The first was to map both the human and mouse genomes, which would not only help in the study of inherited disease but also act as a scaffold for assembling the genome. The second was to sequence the smaller and simpler genomes of organisms, which can then act as a test bed for the development of methods and aid in the interpretation of the human genome. In February 2001, both the IHGSC and the Celera Genomics reported the draft sequences which helped in the methodological study of the human genome, identification of genes and combinatorial architecture of proteins, finding the regional differences in genome composition, gaining knowledge regarding the distribution and history of transposable elements, distribution of polymorphism, forming the relationship between genetic recombination and physical distance, speeding up of biomedical research. The Human Genome Sequence published in 2004 gave the following information. Firstly, the human genome contains 2.85 billion nucleotides. Both the cDNA and plasmid analysis revealed that the genome sequence generated comprises 99% of the euchromatic portion. It is highly correct with an error rate of 1 event per 1 lakh basis. The number of gaps have been reduced 400-fold to only 341. Many of these gaps are associated with segmental duplications, which are nearly identical repeated regions of DNA and will require development of new techniques. The human genome depicts marked variation in the distribution of several features such as genes, GC content, CpG islands, transposable elements, and the recombination rate. This provides important evidences regarding their functions. An example of this is the Hox gene clusters, which is very important in the development. They are present in the most repeat-poor regions of the human genome. This is possibly because the genes in the cluster are under highly complex coordinate regulation. Findings of the Human Genome Project. The human genome contains approximately 20,000 to 25,000 protein coding genes, which is much lower than the expected number. The same gene can code for multiple proteins. This is because of mechanisms like alternate splicing and post-translational modifications, which have resulted in the formation of over 1 million different types of proteins. In comparison to the invertebrates, the proteome encoded by the human genome is more complex. This is partially due to the existence of vertebrate-specific protein domains and motifs, which is approximately 7%, but majorly because vertebrates have probably arranged the pre-existing components into a collection of domain architectures. Gene-to-gene interaction leads to coding for multiple RNAs. Horizontal gene transfer from bacteria to the vertebrate lineage at some point during the course of evolution is responsible currently for the presence of hundreds of genes in the human genome. Dozens of genes are probably derived from transposable elements. Even though transposable elements account for about half of the human genome, but surprisingly there is clear decline in their overall activity in the hominid lineage. It seems as if both the DNA transposons and long terminal repeat retroposons have become completely inactive. Both the pericentromeric as well as the subtelomeric regions of the chromosome contain huge segmental duplications derived from sequence present somewhere else in the genome and are recent in origin. Segmental duplications are very frequent in human genome in comparison to Saccharomyces cerevisiae, Drosophila, or even in case of the Caenorhabditis elegans genome. Analysis of the organization of ALU elements, the so-called selfish elements, proposes the probability of a strong selection pressure favoring their preservation in GC-rich regions, and they might benefit the humans. The junk DNA isn't actually junk and performs a vital role in transcription and translational regulation of protein folding. These structural genomic variations among closely related organisms are comparatively trivial. For example, the DNA sequence of humans and chimpanzee differ by only 1%. The mutation rate during meiosis is calculated to be about twice as high in males in comparison to females. Cytogenetic analysis has proved a correlation between large GC poor regions and dark G bands in the karyotypes. The recombination rates are comparatively greater in distal regions around 20 MB and in short arms of the chromosome. During each meiosis, this encourages at least one crossover per chromosome arm. The human genome sequencing has led to the identification of more than 1.4 million single nucleotide polymorphisms, known as the SNPs. Limitations of the draft sequence. Now, both these draft sequences had significant limitations. In case of the IHGSC sequence, 10% of the euchromatic genome was omitted and had 150,000 gaps. The order and orientation of several segments was not established. The next challenge was to complete the sequence of the euchromatic genome. The genome contained large number of dispersed repeats and large segmental duplications, making it extremely difficult to determine genome structure and sequence. Gaps in the human genome. The 341 gaps reported in 2004 have now been filled. These gaps lie in different regions of the human genome, the first of them being the heterochromatic regions. The HGP did not target the heterochromatic regions present in the human genome, as they contained highly repetitive sequences which were very difficult to sequence and clone using the strategies that existed at that time. There were 33 gaps in the heterochromatin regions which were of 4 different types. Of these 33 gaps, 24 of them were in the centromeres, which consisted of satellite repeats. The heterochromatic regions are extremely polymorphic in length and posed a real challenge for sequencing. Gaps in the human genome. The euchromatic boundary regions. The euchromatic areas of the human genome are flanked proximally by heterochromatin and distally by the telomeres on both the sides. They consist of several kilobases of a hexamere repeat TTAGGG. There were a total of 35 gaps in these regions containing high-order centromeric repeats, stretches of at least 10 kb of monomeric alpha satellite repeat or other pericentromeric repeats. Euchromatic regions. 273 gaps were located within the euchromatic interior regions. There were 215 physical gaps because researchers could not isolate any clones for them. 58 sequence gaps existed because dependable finished sequences were not obtained from these clones. The physical gaps were mostly present in portions of the genome containing segmental duplications. About 52% of the physical gaps were bordered by DNA sequences that have undergone segmental duplications that are 90% identical. Segmental duplications in the human genome. The human genome has high percentage of segmental duplications that are recent in origin. These duplications have profound medical importance as they are highly vulnerable to deletion or rearrangement which has deleterious effects. Some common examples are Williams syndrome region, Carrot-Marie-Tooth region, Digeorge syndrome region, and the AZF-C region 42. Certain regions of segmental duplication act as evolutionary nurseries, where coding sequences are undergoing strong positive selection. These segmental duplications are about 1 kb in length, covering 5.3% of the euchromatic genome, and are not copies of transposable elements. They show 90% sequence similarity with the existing sequences in the human genome. This proves that the duplication of segments took place in the past 40 million years. Distribution varies widely across the 23 chromosomes and also within each chromosome. Segmental duplications in the human genome. An example of segmental duplication is the chromosome Y. 25% of chromosome Y's length has segmental duplication, which contains segment of 1.45 MB having sequence identity of 99.97%. The duplication of DNA segments is profoundly visible in many pericentromeric and subtelomeric regions, which have probably resulted from insertional translocation. Protein coding genes in the human genome. One of the main goals of human genome sequencing was the identification of all human genes. The Human Gene Catalog, published in 2004, contained 22,287 gene loci. The human genome encodes 34,214 transcripts, which is equivalent to 1.54 transcripts per locus. It consists of 19,438 known genes, while the number of predicted genes are 2,188. The total number of exons in the gene loci are 231,667, with 10.4 exons per locus and 9.1 exons per transcript. The coding exons have a length of 34 MB, which is 1.2% of the euchromatic genome. The euchromatic transcript contain untranslated regions that are about 21 MB, which is 0.7% of the euchromatic genome. Thus, the total number of protein coding genes in the human genome are in the range of 20 to 25,000, which is similar to the number present in mice. But this number is exclusive of non-coding RNAs like the tRNA, the rRNA, the small nuclear RNAs, and the microRNAs. Protein coding genes in the human genome. There exists enough evidence suggesting that the human genome encodes several additional RNA transcripts. This low number of protein coding genes were indeed a shocking fact given that the gene prediction tools had estimated the number to be close to 1 lakh due to the nature of the complexity of the human body. An important task next is to find out the total number of pseudogenes in the human genome. Gene birth in the human lineage. The evolution of new genes is essential to provide raw materials for adaptive evolution. This is possible because extra copies of genes undergo first sequence and then functional divergence due to positive selection. Genome analysis has revealed that certain genes have undergone duplications recently. Some of these genes are involved in providing immunity, while some are associated with the sense of smell, and the remaining ones probably play a role in human reproduction. The pregnancy-specific beta-1 glycoprotein and choriogonotropic beta proteins are examples of newly evolved genes that play a vital role in reproduction. The probable function of these proteins in humans is in to extending the gestational period. The gene family encoding the choriogonadotropic beta proteins have undergone recent expansion in the catarrhine primate lineage. The cancer testis CT antigen family of genes is another notable example of gene birth. The expression of these genes is normal in the testes, but their expression is escalated in the carcinomas. Gene death in the human lineage. The other phenomena that significantly explains lineage-specific evolution is gene death. A scan of the human genome sequence was done to search for newly evolved non-processed pseudogenes. These pseudogenes are almost complete human genes which have lately undergone mutation leading to their inactivation. Human genome analysis has revealed the fixing of 32 pseudogenes. 10 pseudogenes are derived from olfactory receptors. This indicates an active expansion and contraction of this large gene family, which resulted in substantial reduction in the total number of functional olfactory receptors in humans in comparison to rodents. The remaining 22 pseudogenes include genes homologous to a ketanic amino acid transporter, a serine threonine kinase, a calreticulin, a putative G protein coupled receptor, and a cystatin. When is a genome project finished? A genome project is said to be completed once all the enlisted goals of the project have been achieved. Usually, the first goal is to determine the order of the bases in the genome. In a genome, there are generally regions that are difficult to sequence, which often contain repetitive DNA. Even after the sequencing and alignment of the genome is over, it is still possible to have certain errors as none of the DNA sequencing methods have 100% accuracy. The other goal of a genome project can be to determine the complete set of genes and to annotate protein coding and RNA coding genes along with other important genome encoded features. All of these tasks are time consuming and may continue much after the project is officially over. Therefore, instead of using the term completed genome sequences, the more appropriate terms would be working draft or essentially complete. The Human Genome Project aims to map and sequence the human genome but not the complete DNA, which means the complete nuclear and the mitochondrial DNA. Merely the euchromatic portions were sequenced. Applications and the proposed benefits of the Human Genome Project. The knowledge of the sequence of the human genome will provide new avenues for advancement in fields ranging from molecular medicine, genomics, biotechnology, forensics to human evolution, agriculture, and livestock breeding. Even though the project ended in 2003, the wealth of data generated is still being analyzed and interpreted. Some current and potential applications of human genome sequence are mentioned in the following slides. The following are some of the applications and proposed benefits of HGP. The first being the diagnosis of single gene, Mendelian diseases and disorders, followed by knowledge of predisposition towards specific diseases, rational drug development, the emergence of new field known as pharmacogenomics, also known as custom-made drugs, followed by identification of means to combat infectious diseases, gene therapy for inherited genetic diseases and disorders, energy sources and environmental applications, risk assessment, bioarchaeology, anthropology, evolution and human migration, the study of DNA forensics, followed by agriculture, livestock breeding and bioprocessing. Now let us take up each of these applications and proposed benefits one by one. The first being diagnosis of single gene Mendelian diseases and disorders. Genes responsible for more than 3,000 Mendelian monogenetic diseases have been revealed. Genomic tests have been devised for accurate diagnosis of rare diseases and disorders. Most of them were formerly misdiagnosed, thus leading to prescription of inappropriate course of treatment. With the correct sequence available, one can use gene therapies for correcting the genetic abnormalities. Specific therapeutic products can be designed to block or change the expression of defective diseases. The second application is the knowledge of predisposition towards specific diseases. Multiple genes and biomarkers responsible for susceptibility of individual to cancers, psychiatric diseases, cardiovascular diseases, etc., have been identified. Thus, the environmental components contributing to the emergence of a disease can now be addressed separately from the genomic factors. Multi-gene tests will help in suitable therapeutic medications, and subsequent lifestyle changes can be done. Rational drug development. Availability of human genome sequence has led to identification of new target drugs targeted to cure cancer based on genomics of tumors are available in the market. Some notable examples are Glavac for treatment of chorionic myelogenous leukemia, Herceptin for the treatment of breast cancer, Tarceva for the treatment of lung cancer, and Avastatin for the treatment of colon, lung, and other cancers. Pharmacogenomics. This refers to the development of therapeutic products that are given based on patient's genome for minimizing the effect and for the reduction or elimination of side effects. Pharmacogenomics is in practice for treating certain types of cancers and cardiovascular diseases. If sequencing a patient's whole genome becomes cost-friendly, then it will aid in selecting the most appropriate treatment and dose for getting the best response. The antagonistic effects can be avoided if right drugs and treatment schedules are known through genomic markers. Identification of means to combat infectious diseases. The whole genomes of several infectious organisms have been sequenced, which aids in monitoring their migrations and mutations. Genetic testing is present in use for directly providing treatment to people infected with HIV/AIDS. Rapid, real-time sequencing of pathogens can really help the health profession world over in combating the disease epidemics in humans and also zoonotic disease epidemics in animals. Genetic profiling of patient viruses will help to customize the treatment regimes. Gene therapy for inherited genetic diseases and disorders. Gene therapy in future may be provided on a routine basis to newborns for correcting the genes that are defective related to monogenetic diseases. Energy sources and environmental applications. In 1994, the DOE initiated the Microbial Genome Program for sequencing the genomes of bacteria that will be useful in production of energy, remediation of environment, toxic waste reduction, and industrial processing. The Genomic Science Program was later initiated to build the data and resources generated from the HGP, the Microbial Genome Program, and the systems biology. GSP aims to increase our knowledge of the living systems, thereby providing answers to DOE mission challenges in energy and the environment. Energy sources and environmental applications. As of now, we know very little about the number and nature of the microbes. For example, till date there has been cultivation and characterization of less than 0.01% of the microbes. Thus, sequencing the complete genome of the microbes is, in due course of time, will benefit human health, environment, and economy from the industrial use of microbes. The microbial genomic research can be used for creating new energy sources, the development of environmental monitoring techniques for detecting pollutants, the development of safe and efficient environmental remediation, carbon sequestration, the development of energy-related biotechnologies such as photosynthetic systems and microbial systems that function in extreme environments. Genetic manipulation of organisms such that they are capable of metabolizing renewable resources and waste materials equally, the development of new goods, methods, and tests for cleaner environment. Biomanufacturing involves the use of harmless chemicals and enzymes for cost reduction and increase the efficiency of industrial processes. The enzymes derived from microbes are used for bleaching of paper pulp, stone-washed denim, removing lipstick from glassware, breaking down starch in brewing, and coagulating milk protein in the production of cheese. Energy sources and environmental applications. The microbial genome sequence in hand, the scientists can find the disease-producing properties of pathogens. Pharmaceutical researchers, through the use of microbial sequences, can gain insight regarding the disease-causing mechanism of pathogenic microbes, which will help in identifying new drug targets. By studying the microbial community, we will be able to gain a better understanding of the biological interaction and the evolutionary history. Risk assessment. Understanding of the human genome sequence will help in better assessment of risks posed by contact to toxic substances to individuals. Genetic dissimilarities can make certain individuals highly vulnerable while others are more resistant to toxic substances. This knowledge will aid the DOE's long-term mission of understanding the effects of low-level exposure to radiation and other energy-related agents, which increases the risk of cancer development. Thus, knowledge of the human genome will help in the assessment of damage to health and dangers due to exposure to radiations, chemical mutagens, and substances causing cancer. Secondly, reduction in the probability of heritable mutations. Bioarchaeology, anthropology, evolution, and human migration. By understanding the genomics, we will be able to understand human evolution and the common biology we all share with life. Comparative genomics is a powerful tool in understanding both the differences and the similarities between organisms. For example, comparison between humans and mice genome has already led to the identification of similar genes associated with disease and traits. Several questions regarding the similarities and differences between humans and our closest relatives, the primates, and the other mammals can be answered by the data obtained from the Human Genome Project. Bioarchaeology, anthropology, evolution, and human migration. The evolutionary questions like the emergence of ribosomes in organelles such as chloroplast in mitochondria, embryo development with body plans, the evolution of immune system in the vertebrates can now be asked and answered at the molecular level. The knowledge of genomics can be used for studying the evolution through germline mutation in lineages, studying the migration of diverse groups of populations on the basis of female genetic inheritance, studying the mutations on the Y chromosome for tracing the lineage and migration of males, comparing the breakpoints in the evolution of mutations with both the population ages and historical events. Comparison of complete genome sequences of different microbes can give new insights regarding the relationship between the three kingdoms of life, the archaebacteria, eukaryotes, and the prokaryotes. DNA forensics. Any given organism can be easily identified by examining its DNA sequence as it is unique to that species. For identifying an individual, about 10 different regions of the genome are scanned, as these regions differ from one individual to another and a DNA fingerprint is created. Although it is an accurate method, but a small probability exists that another individual might have similar genetic composition. With advancement in DNA sequencing technologies, it will be possible to either directly characterize huge DNA segments or maybe whole genomes, leading to exact identification of an individual. Further development of genome sequencing and analysis will aid in the identification of the possible defendants whose DNA might match evidence left at crime scenes, to acquit the individuals that have been wrongly accused of crimes, identification of the crime and catastrophe victims, establishment of the paternity and other family relationships, identification of the endangered and protected species, which will help the wildlife officials, detection of bacteria and other organisms which may pollute air, water, soil, and food, matching the organ donors with recipients in transplantation programs, determination of the pedigree for seed or livestock breeds, and finally to validate the food items like caviar and wine. Agriculture, livestock breeding, and bioprocessing. By having an understanding of the plant and animal genomes, the researchers will be able to create crops that are resistant to diseases, insects, and drought. Healthy farm animals that give larger yield per animal and are also resistant to the diseases. The food products will be more nutritious and free of pesticides. It will help in the development of biopesticides. Food products that will provide immunity, that is, they will be able to act as edible vaccines. Plants with the capability to uptake various environmental pollutants, leading to bioremediation. The farmers already using bioengineered seeds for growing insect and drought-resistant crops, which need little or no pesticides. Healthier crops and herds has led to an increase in the output for farmers. Understanding of the genome has led to development of an alternate use for crops like tobacco, agriculture, livestock breeding, and bioprocessing. The genetically engineered tobacco plants can produce a bacterial enzyme that breaks down explosives like TNT and dinitroglycerine. A study of the genetic composition of Triticum estimum would help us to gain great insight on how the process of domestication has impacted the evolution of this plant. It will help us to know the gene loci that are most susceptible to manipulation and the subsequent comparison between wild and domesticated plant varieties. Researchers hope that it will lead to creation of healthy and disease-resistant wheat crops. Ethical, legal, and social issues. At the onset of the HGP, a number of ethical, legal, and social concerns were raised, as the knowledge gained about the human genome might be used to discriminate against people. The ELSI program was started in 1990, for which the NIH and the DOE gave 5% from its annual budget. One major concern was the unwillingness of employers and the health insurance companies to hire or give insurance to certain individuals as they inherited certain genes which predisposed them to certain types of diseases. In 1996, the US passed the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act (HIPAA). This act provides legal protection to individuals against the unofficial and non-consensual discharge of information related to one's health to any person or organization that is not directly involved in providing health care. The Human Genome Project does provide significant benefits in the field of medicine and scientific research, but it is important to take into account of the probable social concerns arising due to the mapping of the human genome. So students, let us now summarize what we have learned in this module. The human genome sequence does not represent the genome of any one person. Instead, it is a combined mosaic of DNA obtained from few people of European origin of unknown identity. The hierarchical shotgun sequencing method was used for sequencing the human genome by the publicly funded International Human Genome Sequencing Consortium. The genomic DNA was fragmented into pieces of approximately 150 MB in length, which were ligated to the bacterial artificial chromosomes, which are the cloning vectors that were transformed into Bacterium E. coli. Then, the back inserts were isolated, followed by mapping for determining the order of each cloned 150 MB fragment. Next, each 150 MB back fragment was fragmented into smaller pieces, each of which was further cloned into a plasmid for sequencing. The resulting sequences were aligned together through their overlapping sequences to obtain a larger sequence. The privately funded Stellar Genomics used the shotgun sequencing method for sequencing the human genome. The DNA was randomly sheared into small pieces, which was then cloned into plasmids, which were subsequently transformed into the Bacterium E. coli. Next, both the DNA strands were sequenced and then the sequences obtained were aligned to obtain the complete finished sequence. The International Human Genome Sequencing Consortium published in February 2001 in the journal Nature the first draft of the human genome, which was 90% complete, while the Cellular Genomics published their findings in the journal Science. The Human Genome Project was declared complete and published in April 14, 2003. The Human Genome Sequence published in 2004 contained 2.85 billion nucleotides and represented 99% of the euchromatin portion of the genome. It was highly accurate with an error rate of 1 per 1 lakh nucleotides with only 341 gaps. Many of these gaps were associated with segmental duplications located both in the heterochromatin and the euchromatin regions of the chromosomes. The human genome contains about 20,500 protein coding genes, which is much lower than the expected number. The so-called junk DNA is an important component of genome as it helps in transcription translational regulation of protein folding. The scientists associated with the HGP have deciphered the human genome in three ways. First, by determining the order of all the bases in the genome. Second, by constructing a map that shows the location of genes on our chromosomes. And third, by producing the linkage maps. The complete genome of model organisms like mice, fruit fly, flatworms was simultaneously sequenced such that one can draw comparison between similar or homologous genes. This would help in understanding gene evolution and diversification of gene function. There was a great advancement in the methods used for cloning, sequencing, annotation, and analysis of the genomes. The availability of the sequence of the human genome has greatly helped biomedical technology and research and will contribute to the better development in the fields of molecular medicine, biotechnology, forensics, genomics, human evolution, agriculture, and livestock breeding.